My next guest, he's a professional mixed martial artist with a record of 9 wins with 2 losses. Please welcome back onto the show, professional mixed martial artist, Alex Martinez. How are you, Alex?
Hey, brother, I'm doing really good. Thank you. Excited to be here. So,
Hey,
yeah.
thanks for coming back, man. We love having you back.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And happy birthday, Alex. I mean, I know your birthday was yesterday from the time that we're recording this, man. Happy birthday, man. How was it, man?
Thanks, man. I'll be honest to you. My birthdays are always usually busy and like always doing something. And it's always like a stressful time. This was no different than the other ones, to be honest. But I had a good time, it's kind of funny, but a lot of things kind of happen like back to back that kind of give me a little bit of stress, but I had a good time. My buddy, Brandon Jenkins, he kind of just took me out, we went out and do some cliff jumping. So that was fun. And, but yeah, it was good.
Love,
Can't
I,
complain.
I love that. Well, I mean, you right now you're getting ready for a fight. We'll get into that. But I love how your birthday consists just doing something active and cliff jumping and doing
Dude, I
things like
trained in
that.
the morning. That was my birthday present. I woke up and then I went and drilled from 11 to 12, and then I did my strength and conditioning 12 to 1:30, and then right after that was go do cliff jumping. So yeah, it's a lifestyle.
Man, that's awesome to see. Well, Alex, we're right now you're coming off a huge win. PFL, you're a PFL fighter coming off a huge win from April 20th against Stevie Ray. Was a very tough opponent. Again, 2020, 2022 started off really good for you as far as from the MMA standpoint, man. How's that been for you, man? How do you feel after coming off that win?
Man, it feels great. Of course, you especially after going 2 losses in a row in PFL, you like I say, you start to wonder if you probably have to maybe take a step back and like how you say, you just like rebuild yourself again in order to like start jumping up in the higher level. But we show that we in even the last 2 losses, we show that we can handle and we belong there. But as well, you don't want to walk out with a loss anytime, no matter what level you are. Winning is always the main thing. But yeah, it felt great to get that win, especially against Stevie Ray. To be honest, when last year when I was looking at the roster, who was gonna be in it, and they announced that Stevie Ray was gonna be part of it, I was like, dang, Stevie Ray. And sure enough, like Stevie Ray turned out to be part of the first guy that I fight. So it was a really good, how you say, it was good to get that fight out of the way, to be honest, especially against as an opponent as Stevie Ray, who is like, very experienced. He knows his stuff. He has power on his hands. And yeah, man, so that was a big victory. But this PFL roster, you cannot celebrate for too long. You probably can think about the victory for the next week, and then after that, you have to be back to work. So that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, and obviously, it's a tough fight. I think, like you said, everyone's tough. Stevie Ray is a tough fight for anyone. You are a tough fight for anyone. There's no gimmicks here. It's all tough. And obviously, it was a war. You went out there, you fought. How did you feel though while you were in the octagon, in the cage, there fighting against Stevie? There's a part in that fight where you were a little hurt, or what it seemed like. You got dropped there. I mean, how was your mentality going through that? How'd you mentally get through that? Because obviously, I think the first thing is, and Alex, you can correct me, mental. The first thing is mental, right? Because if you let yourself feel that damage, I mean, it's over, right? You got to keep moving forward. Am I right?
Yeah, man. So, like at the moment that happened, to be honest, I'm not somebody who swears often, but in my head, I swore. I'm like, man, this
Yeah.
guy is like, I'm just like, dang it, he got me, But as soon as I was falling, I knew that, I knew what to do right away. I was like, okay, well, just, right now, just focus on recovering. To be honest, it was more like a flash. So I think I
Yeah.
was kind of stepping back at the same time that he dropped me. So he just kind of like, it wasn't so much of a, like oh man, I'm about to get finished here. But it was like one of those things, oh shit, like I have to like, dang, like the lights are ringing, it's like ding 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 ding, okay, get back. So as soon by the time that I was already dropping down, I already was conscious of what's going on. I knew what happened. I knew he hit me with a cross or an overhand, like something with a left, because I saw his first hand come through, but I didn't see the second part. And then I knew that was the one that dropped me. So I was like, okay, he got me with it. So I was already mentally preparing myself going into that fight. I watched a lot of footage from him, and he seemed to drop everyone with that hand, with a 1-2. If he didn't drop, then he at least targeted them badly. So as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, well, you know what? Just go back to your game plan, man. You know, stick to your game plan, which is, you know, pressure, keep picking him apart, you know, with the legs and with the hands and long range. And to be honest, there was no part of me that went, oh man, dang it, you know, we're done now. It's more like there was one part that I felt like that, and that was when he started playing with the leg locks, and that was the one that I was like, oh no, okay, this could be it. So really be careful.
Yeah.
But you know, my defense and my instincts took over pretty well. So and I was pretty coherent with everything that was going on. So yeah, you know, it was a little bump in the road, but you know, it seems to happen quite often at that level now. You know, it's not nothing to be surprised from. You know, everybody seems to be getting dropped at that level.
Yeah, you know, I think because I mean when I was there watching the fight, I thought you even won the second round because I thought that you ended it
I thought
strong.
that. I
I
thought that
thought
too. I thought, to be honest, sorry to break you off there, but
no, no,
yeah, I
you're
thought
good.
the same. I thought I won all 3 rounds. I thought the second round, yeah, you know, like he got the biggest shot, but I even staggered him too at the end there. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? Like I also like staggered him. It did not look as bad as like he made me look with the
No,
stagger, but you know, like I saw him staggered there too, and you know that's why I smiled at one point. And people were asking me, why were you smiling? I was like, well, I tagged him, and that's why I was smiling. So because I right after that, I tagged him back. So I was like, okay, you know, just letting him know that, hey man, you know, I got some power too. So, you know, you cannot just walk in here and, you know, make it your home. So yeah,
yeah,
it was a great fight though. Respect for Stevie Ray.
no, definitely. When I heard 30-27, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, he got it. Like when once I heard judges were giving you 30-27, that's what I thought. I thought you were able to win that, and I mean it's great. I mean you again overcoming a tough moment, right? Overcoming some adversity. And you know, it's one thing I see, Alex, is a lot of people have their own routes, right? Everyone has their own road, and you have adversity. Some have more than others, you know. I think when I've seen you fight, and I've had the privilege to see you now fight in person, you know, I see, you know, you go from alternate, you go from, you know, taking Loic you know, to the limit, you know, the first fight. Then the second fight, obviously the opponent switch, 24 hours, you take on the two-time PFL champ there. Then you go out there, you get another tough rematch. It's always tough fighting a guy twice, right? Especially within the same year. And
Mm-hmm.
now, you know, again, you went through it again. Tough fight against Stevie Ray. You just seem to keep, you know, overcoming these things, you know, that would break a lot of people, I think, in just in general, but you're overcoming that, man. I mean, how do you continue to just stay positive and continue to grind the way you do?
Man, you know, that's where my belief in God comes in, to be honest,
Yeah.
you know, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. You probably hear that all the time, but to be honest, man, that's my hope right there, you know, like every single time when I go through some adversity, like I say, you know, last year for me was probably the most adversity I faced, not only in fighting, but also just uh, in life itself, because it
Yeah.
was the first time that I ever experienced the loss of somebody who is really close to me. You know, like of course, you know, I lost my grandfather and things like that. But last year, for example, I lost somebody who I spend, you know, let's say every weekend with, which was my father-in-law. So I also this year I got my first baby. So like a lot of
Yeah.
real life stuff start happening. And then I think all of that really just helped me to become stronger in my faith, you know, with God. And I'll be honest with you, man, you know, I don't think one of them is I have a great support, which is my family. We work really hard at it on that, you know, just to support each other and keep that family community. And the other one, to be honest, is I would say my faith in God, you know, Jesus Christ, like I said, it's 100% him. You know, when I go through adversities like that on anything, when it comes down to like life-changing adversities, you know, PFL calling me right away and be ready in 21 days, you know, you're going to be part of the 19-day bubble, blah, 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 right? So things like that, when things like that comes to my door, the first thing I do is just like, I get desperate like every single human. And then I'm like, you know what, God, you're going to take care of me no matter what, you know, whether, you know, of course, I didn't like that I lost, and then you know you kind of question things a little bit because of that, just
Yeah.
because you know I was keeping that perfect record and I wanted to keep that all the way through. But at the same time, you know, I'm like, well, you know, God, you have a plan. You have a plan for me, and I just gotta trust you. I gotta do my job here in Earth. I gotta do my work. I gotta make sure to show up to training. I listen to my coaches and all those things. Stay humble. But then in the end of the day, when I cannot control things anymore, that's when I really just let things go and be like, okay, God, you know, it's on to you now. You know, I trust you, and here we go. And that's what I do with every single fight. You know, well, I try to do with every single fight. And the fight against Stevie Ray was no different. You know, when I went in there, I'm like, okay, you know what, God, we're here now. I just gotta do what I've been preparing to do, and just let it on to you. And here we go. Let's have fun. So yeah, it's really my faith, to be honest, what keeps me really strong mentally, and a lot of hope.
No, definitely. And I think every single time that you and I've spoken, I always mention what you're overcome, because to me it's such a telling thing about not just the athlete but the person. Because look, there's sports there's sports everywhere in what we're doing, we're covering, whether it's MMA, football, basketball, golf, whatever it is. But there's some that have to deal with more, and there's some that don't. Everyone's got their own road there, and sometimes it's not because of the fighter or because of the player. You just fight the fight that's there. You fight your schedule. It is what it is. But I think there's something to be said with what do you have to overcome? Because I feel like especially like for you, Alex, that fight with Nathan Shaw, the playoff fight last year, I think it just helps you. I think you learn more from those kind of experiences, right?
Dude, 100% true. Like that saying that says what doesn't kill make you stronger, in a way is really true. Like you can take it in many ways, but moments like that, it literally is what it does. It did not kill me, it made me stronger. So it really helped me out. And it all comes down to your perspective of life too. It's like I said, whenever I go into a fight, I really try to change my mindset. I don't get me wrong, man. I know I'm just human as well. So I go through the same thing that everybody. When something negative happens in my life, the first thing I go to is in the pity thing. It's like, oh, why me? And I cry out like like everybody when something happens to us, right? Because we all go through struggles. Yeah, it's pretty normal. But then when it's time to buckle up, then I start speaking to myself, which is I think is super important. I speak to yourself every single day, and I tell myself, dude, you know what? Nobody's gonna rescue you. You're gonna rescue yourself. Yeah, God is gonna be there for you, but at the same time, you gotta climb yourself out of here. He's gonna put everything for you in front, but if you don't go and get it, then it doesn't matter. So whenever I have a challenge ahead, like I said, I just focus on the moment and try not to overthink too much about the future, and just do what I can right now today. Like today, for example, Sunday, I wake up and I got my schedule already. Okay, make sure I stretch, make sure I foam roll, and I do whatever I have to do, eat properly and rest, and enjoy life too. And then tomorrow I got my schedule and I follow that, and I make sure I do the best that I can in every possibility. But if something happens tomorrow, let's say, I don't know, my cars break down and I cannot go train by any reason, then I'll have to adjust to that. So it really comes down to staying positive and thinking about anything that negative that happens to you, just finding solutions. That's really what it comes down to me, thinking of solutions and not of first of all, I got to acknowledge the problem, and then I think of the solution that what can I do right after that? And it's pretty stressful, but at the same time, if I just let myself get taken, then I'm gonna be taken out pretty easy.
No, for sure. Now, are you back in Vegas training now? You are, correct?
Yes, I am back in Vegas right now training with Syndicate.
Now, how has that been for you? Because I believe you were not with Syndicate your first year in PFL.
The first in PFL I was not.
Okay.
I started to come PFL once PFL announced that every single fighter must stay in the US. So because of the pandemic and stuff, as soon as that happened, I was looking around and I called some of I call my coaches back home, and then I call a good friend of mine from Victoria. His name is Adam Zuchek. He's a very well-known coach. He's one of those like hidden coaches that know a lot about the sport and he's been around for such a long time. From Canada, but he's not very mainstream, right? Like he's not like a Firas Zahabi that everybody knows about. So anyways, I call Adam Zuchek and I ask him, and he's like, hey man, because he recommended me before. He said, this is before PFL even happened. He said, dude, you should go to Syndicate. I think that's going to be a great team for you. And I'm like, I'll think about it. But for me, I was like, yeah, whatever. But when as soon as PFL said that I had to stay in the US, I thought about the gyms that I could go to. And I only had two gyms in mind. One of them was Sanford MMA in Florida, and the other one was Syndicate in Las Vegas, because I heard of them before. And like I said, the coach Amzuchik recommended me to go there. And then and then it turns out that my manager also was from Las Vegas. So I was like, okay, as soon as I had to decide, I was thinking about Sanford because of the big team and Florida, beautiful place. But Loic was there, so I'm like, that's gonna be kind of awkward if I go there. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing wrong with it, but the chances of us fighting again would have still happened. So then I ended up choosing Las Vegas because, like I said, the recommendations that I had, and also my my manager Danny Rubinstein, which is an awesome guy. was here. So I messaged my coach, my friend coach from Victoria, and I talked to my manager, and then they set me up. And since then, I've been loving this team, and I love how Coach John, he's been a big input into my career. So yeah, I've been here since then.
You know, have you seen yourself evolve as a fighter since joining them?
Yeah, man, you can see me changing all the time. Like every single fight that I go in there, you can see like I'm bringing something new to the table. I still have the same how you say skills that I started with, but like you can see now, my hands are starting to go a lot more. Something that I did not do before. I was always more of a just like a um point striker almost. Like it still has a lot of power on the strikes, but it wasn't like there wasn't much combinations from my hands. It was more like one, one, two, one, one, two. Where now you can see me throwing a little more combinations, and legs right behind it and stuff like that. And then my wrestling improved a lot because by the time when I came here, Coach Frank Hickman was around, which I don't know if you know much about Frank Hickman, which is one of the Hickman brothers from Thailand. He was around here taking care of a lot of fighters, that came from New Zealand, Australia. Like he's one of the main wrestling coaches from Israel Adesanya, Volkanovski. All of a sudden, I just blew it out. Dan Hooker and all these like killers from down there. So he's a wicked coach, and my wrestling just improved so much. Doing some sessions with him, and I loved it every second. So since then, I've been in Syndicate, and yeah, so. I evolve everywhere, just being here, surrounded by so many other fighters too, right? Lots of talent.
No, it's great to see. Now, moving on to your next fight, man. I mean, I'm pumped to see this. PFL 4, June 17th, main event on not ESPN Plus, man, ESPN though. On
Yes, sir.
ESPN, I believe this is, going in main card here, main card in the main event against Clay Collard, who's, everyone's tough, man. He
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
is, I'd say he's definitely on top of the, near the top of those lists, man. I mean, Clay's a
I would
huge,
say I would say he's the toughest when it comes up
yeah,
to toughness. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think Clay's, he's definitely up there, man. He's one of the best in the division, and it's a great fight, man. How you feeling heading into this fight, man? I mean, why is this gonna go your way? How do you feel? Why do you feel so confident going into this fight?
Man, I love it. I love the matchup. It's a great matchup. I remember last year after the semifinals, Clay said, "Hey Alex, maybe he came and started talking to me. We both lost our semifinals, and he says, "Hey Alex, you and I, we should probably go at it." And I said, "Okay, just give me some time." I said at the moment because I just came out of a big injury. Just give me some time. I have a knee injury, so we just kind of left it there. And then now, sure enough, we were fighting. So I think this is a great matchup, man. Like he's a great fighter. We all know what he brings to the table. And then I think, to be honest, I have the puzzle that it takes to be Clay. Like I think I'm a very moldable fighter. I can, I think I can do everything, to be honest, and I can do it well as well. So a lot of fighters can do everything, but not as good, I think. So I think I have what it takes. Now it really comes down to being mentally focused on that fight and staying strong too, right? Because it's not an easy fight. There hasn't been easy fight in the last 3 years for me, so I love it. It's a great fight. I think I have everything it takes to come out on top. And yeah, so June 17th, here we go.
Do you feel, Alex, like there's any added pressure because you're going to be in the main event, first main event year for PFL? Do you feel any extra added pressure?
You know what? I think there is always pressure on the fight game. Like doesn't matter whether if you're on the first fight of the night, if you're in the middle of the fight, it doesn't matter. I think the pressure, there is always some kind of pressure. Like I don't think pressure changes depending on which part of the car you are. Yes, I am the main car. People are expecting more excitement, but I think the pressure is just gonna be there no matter what. It's a sport, so there's always a pressure of victory. I mean, like, you lose your fight and you lose half of your purse. Like, so that's even more of a pressure, I think, than anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes down to pressure, pressure's just gonna be there. So I don't see us like, oh, if I was fighting the first fight of the night or middle of the fight, I think pressure was still gonna be there. So it's not it doesn't change the pressure of being main event or co-main event. Cameras will still be there. ESPN people will still be there. So it's it's just a fight, man. So it doesn't matter what kind of fight you fight, the pressure is always there.
Have you watched a lot of Clay's fights in the past?
Yeah. No, of course. I watch all of these guys. I've been keeping. As soon as I hear the guy's name, I go and check him out. I go and check him out, and I try to set like just like a scrap plan at first, and then as soon as he gets serious and the fight gets announced, then I make sure I sit down and make a proper plan for the fight that I'm fighting. So yeah, no, I have watched Clay Colors fight, and they're always exciting, man. So
No,
yeah.
definitely. Now, for anyone that still may have not watched Alex Martinez fight, man, what can they expect on June 17th?
A fight. It's always a fight, man. Like, I think I always bring a good fight. It's always an exciting fight because, I never quit. I never give up. I always go forward and, I move back to, but I'm always there, I'm never, you'll never see me like shy away from fighting. So I think they're going to expect a fight, every single fight, that I fight I think it's always a fun fight to watch, I sometimes go back and I sit down and watch my own fights, not to like, I started my fight, but then I'm like, man, you know what? It's actually exciting, like I do some exciting stuff. And then I think a lot of it just comes down to passion. I think I bring a lot of passion into fighting and people love that, I think. So I think they're going to expect a fight. So
Is it safe to assume your number one goal right now in MMA is to become PFL world champ?
dude, I don't think I'll be in PFL right now if that wasn't my goal, because what's the
Okay.
point of being, what's the point of being on this tournament if you don't want to be the world champ?
No, absolutely. Alex, what else are you looking forward to? I mean, is there anything else particular goal that you have in sight for yourself besides that?
Right now, my mind is 100% on June 17th. So we're just a little bit under 4 weeks now, and that's 100% where my mind is going. So this tournament, you gotta take it one step at a time because anything can happen at any time. We've seen that last year.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to fight Pettis, and then the day before, while I was cutting weight, I was 2 pounds off from making weight. They say, "Hey, fight is off," and I'm like, "No, it's not. I'm making weight."
Yeah,
So,
but it's a good
so
thing.
yeah. So then like I said, anything can happen. So right now I'm just focusing 100% on June 17th. My opponent is Clay Collar. So yeah, it's I'm excited for that. And then after one that's done, then we're gonna focus on what next. But yes, the World Championship is 100% why I'm here.
Now, last thing is, has it been easier this year for you to prepare through the tournament style or regular season style of fights that PFL has to offer? It's something that we don't see used by any other MMA organization. Has this year kind of been a little bit easier for you to adjust to that kind of style or format?
Man, you know what? I think is tough no matter what. Um, I think a lot of stuff had to happen for me to in order to be able to prepare for this time. Like I say, I'm away from my kid right now, so my kid is only
Okay.
like, it's gonna be 3 months old, so that really makes it really hard. So if you now knowing the format makes it easy to plan around.
No, for
And
sure.
but at the same time, still, I'm from Canada, so there's a lot of things that gets on the way for me to be able to come to Vegas and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it's easy, but knowing the time and the date that I have to show up, it for sure makes it easier to plan around. I can actually plan now. But at the same time, it's you gotta show up. That's the thing. I guess with other promotions, you can push your fights. You can just say I cannot make it. Haven't been trained. Blah blah blah. You can push your fight, and
Yeah.
whether they might take you or not, I don't know. But you can push a big fight a little more, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Where with PFL, man, you have your date and you have to show up your date. So in a way, it's easy, but in another way, if things are not going how you planned it at first, and you have to adjust right away. So it's always a challenge. But having a date makes it easy to plan. But at the same time, plans don't go as you expect always. So
No, man, such is life right now, man.
yeah, such is
Alex,
life, man.
no, such is life for sure. Alex, anything else you want to let the audience know? I mean, mentally there, I mean, mentality heading into this fight, obviously it's getting the job done, right?
Yes, sir. That's a plan, right? I mean, we're ready to adjust. So I'm excited. Not much to say, man. I'm still getting ready. We still have just about 4 weeks till fight day. So, there's still a lot of adjustments to make, and we're ready to go, man. We're ready to roar the engine.
Awesome. Alex Martinez, it's always a pleasure having you here. For anyone
Thank you,
out there in
brother.
the audience, Alex is 9-2. Folks, you can watch his fight June 17, main event versus Clay Collar on ESPN. I guarantee you it's going to be fireworks, folks. To anyone out there listening, I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.